So when we get into more string methods, I want to talk about these string methods because these are the methods that we're going to use. All of these are in our function reference. All of them are widely documented online. But it would be useful for you to have PyCharm open as we talk about some of these things, and maybe even follow along with some of the examples that I do. Now, one very, very, very useful string method that we have not covered yet is called split. Okay, when I split a string, okay, I'm using string.split because it's a string method. So when I split a string, it doesn't require any arguments at all. It does have a default argument of a separator and also has a default argument of max split. Now, we know what default arguments are because we've talked about those now. So when I want to split a string, the default separator is the space character. The default max split is infinity. It will do as many splits as possible. Or that would be a value of -1 if you specify it, but you don't need to. So let's take a look at this. And what happens when I split a string is that it takes whatever character I use for the separator, which defaults to the space bar, and it uses that as the basis for separating that string into multiple strings. And it returns a list. Okay, so if I say li text, if I create a new variable called li text, and I say that is equal to strtest or text dot split, and I give it no arguments, okay? Remember the defaults, space and infinite splits. If I print that new variable that I just created, then what you'll see is that it prints a list. And I want to point out a couple things. So here's the list that it returns: Bakersfield and college. So it's separating it into words because it's using the space to separate it. You'll also notice that neither this string nor this string contains the space. So whatever character is used to split those actually goes away. The separator goes away when it's split. So if I have Bakersfield College is where I learn things, and I run that again, you'll see Bakersfield College is where I learn things. Really handy because now I have each word as its own separate string, and I can do things to those on an individual basis. So this is a regular list, and if I wanted to print just part of that list, I can use the index to refer to just that part of it. Really, really useful. I can also use the length or len function to tell me how many words there are. So that's really useful. If I split a piece of text into words by using the space, and then I use length, I can find out how many words are in a piece of text. Of course, Python doesn't know that those are words. I know that those are words because I know the rules of English. Now, I can, instead of using the space, what if I use the character I to split those? Okay, let's see what happens when I print out that list. Okay, now that doesn't make a lot of sense from an English standpoint, but you can see here all of the I's are gone from this, And everywhere there was an I, there's a split now. That's probably not something you're going to do, but you could. More likely, you're going to use other characters. The other thing you can do is if I leave out the space, I can also tell it, I only want you to split at the first space that you find by using the number 1 here. Max split is just 1 split. Okay, so now it's just going to split at the first space and it's going to ignore the rest. So now I end up with 2 pieces. So there's a lot of flexibility and a lot of things you can do there. But leaving off everything says, let's use the space and let's split everywhere there is one. So that is split. You're going to use that a lot.